economic. What is your contribution as engineers in making sure that the girl child and also the woman in Uganda is economically empowered?
Thank you so much. Once again, good morning, our listeners. As a woman who is in the predominantly male profession, I will first share my background. When I was going to school in the 90s and in the 80s, there was this gender stereotype that math is for boys. And therefore, that stereotype hinders many girls from joining the profession. So you would find in a class of like 50 girls, say, only 2 girls have interest in math. Maybe excuse me, because they have had exposure to people maybe in the engineering profession and they are seeing them as their role models. But in society generally, they would look at that way, that math is for boys, which has really not enabled that the many young girls to join the profession. And therefore, as a woman who has been there, I understand all those, being able to understand the challenges that are involved and navigate through to my career where I am today. I think what we can do to empower the young girls to join the profession before we talk of economic empowerment. I think education is part of economic empowerment. So let's look at education from the lower level, from primary. To me, I believe that we need to go back to our schools and try to demystify those stereotypes. Tell them, look, we have girls here who have made it to this level. So we need more role models to visit our local schools, because we know that in our local schools, when girls hear like that, math is for boys, then they back off. And therefore, you can never be an engineer, even you cannot be a good accountant. Just like my senior submitted, she said for even to empower that woman in the market, she must do some arithmetic. So it is important that we empower both boys and girls in their schools, but with intention to inspire girls more by going there as role models, to mentor the girls and do some career guidance. But I also want to say this to government, that engineering as a profession is practical based. Therefore, these schools, even the UPE schools we are talking about, free education, in a way is not empowering people to do engineering courses. Because when you look at it, you go to a UPE school, there is not even a single workshop that has even technology, because we can have even workshops of carpentry. Yeah. We can have even workshops where people are doing like bricklaying, which is part of engineering, because you start from there, a house is constructed using the materials. Also making the young people try to understand the materials, because as an engineer, you must know the materials are involved in engineering. If you are going to make a chair, you must know what are the materials of making this chair. Do we have them in our communities? Can we access them? So me, what I'm looking at is taking education, being intentional in building our UPE schools to empower them to have like maker spaces where the young people can go and do hands-on practice, not theoretical, because engineering is not a theoretical course and that's the main reason that societies looked at it as a male course. And like the example when I was given, saying I will not pay for you, I will marry you. But now I believe we have moved away from that gender stereotype, and we need to go back. We, the educated ladies, let's go back to our roots and try to inspire the young girls so that we have more girls on board. I personally wrote a paper to Minister of Education where we are talking about career guidance. And as engineering professionals, for us, we are ready to partner with education to go and do career guidance and mentorship in all our schools and even universities. We are already doing it as an institution. Maybe to give you a background of our institution, because some people may not know, like Dr. said, she didn't know there is an institution of engineers. Uganda Institution of Professional Engineers was started in 1972, and it is an institution, that a body that brings together all engineering professionals, technicians, technologists, and engineers. And our main objective is mentorship and career guidance, then training, because as I said, engineering is a practical-based profession. Therefore, we need to regularly train our members to catch up with the technology. Like we know that today, the rate at which technology moves, if you are not constantly training and learning new skills, you may not be able to cope and thrive in the industry. So we bring together all the engineering professionals. But also I want to give you reality that as a professional, like I said, there are very few women the world over. 15% of all engineers, only 15% are women engineers. In Uganda, today, I told you we are celebrating World Engineering Day on 4th March. So this is Engineering Month. We have 1,789 registered engineers, but only 171 are female engineers. So you can see that in this male-dominated profession, we need to be more intentional if we are going to empower women to take up leadership positions, if we are going to empower women to be part of the engineering. And we all know that women, we have great ideas, but women are dying with their ideas down there because they have not been helped to pursue the careers they want. One, some people, when they tell you math is for girls, men, you back off.
Okay.
Others, they have even their practical skills, but they have not been helped to nurture them. Others drop out of school and they don't become useful. Yet if we had career centers in our primary schools, even after P7, you will be useful. Maybe you would leave when you know how to make a table, using low technology, or maybe even you will know when you know how to make bricks, and you continue from there.
Thank you.
With your career.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Our dear listener, to be part of the program, you can send your messages on 0701 24 26 47, or you call live in this program by dialing 0776 511 426, and tell us anything you think that can be done in this country to make sure that we empower women politically, economically, and all ways possible to make sure that we move at the same pace, or we become together on the same page. Honorable Secretary, some people, some Ugandans still believe that enough has been done to the girl child, enough has been done to to empower a woman in this country. So many platforms, so many government initiatives and programs, but to have ladies still lagging behind should not be attributed to government, but it is an individual effort that ladies need to wake up and be able to utilize all these resources and the platforms. Dr. Emily has Engineer Emily has told us that 15% of their membership as engineers, that means that men contribute 75%. But the programs are there, courses are there, teachers are there. Is there anyone hindering women to tap into these subjects? Because classes are open to all. But why is it that we still have 15% women participating in these science courses? Honorable Secretary.
You know, when for example we say we have served food and it is up to you to eat or not to eat. The appetite starts from the eyes, then goes to the hands. Sometimes you look at this thing, like the first time I ate crab, the first time I ate something which looks like a cricket, I needed some kind of prompting. I watched others, but in some cases, like the engineer was saying, your name is Annette. Yes, like Annette was saying, we need some people to follow, because in the world, in life, there are more followers than leaders. So we need some leaders amongst the women, but maybe I will say among the women, maybe I will say among the Ugandans. Because when you are a mother, for example, it is nice when you have got a brother or an uncle who is an engineer, who is an accountant working in the bank. You conveniently go and visit with your daughter, and the uncle tells the girl where he works and how he can make money. Or if it is, let's say it's a brick making factory, very early in the morning, your daughter wakes up, goes with uncle to make bricks. Everybody at school will hear how she visited this brick making factory. But not every child is lucky to have that. So even if we are saying the government has put programs there, so please go and partake, that is actually not true. I do a lot of work with schools. First of all, the UPE and USE schools are so full and unfortunately poorly resourced, both in terms of equipment and human resource. How does a one teacher's class over 100 little children, you have one or two in the house and they give you a headache? Now get 100 of them in class, you practically land in Utamika. So I would like to say that government should not yet lie back on its laurels. In Uganda we say katandika butandisi gachali mabaga. This is only the beginning. There is more, but the journey is just starting. So like I suggested before, what we need are refurbished, rehabilitated and well-resourced public schools. Because I'm really happy that we have got private schools, but I have visited them, I have seen what goes on there. Government, nobody has taken over your role, especially the role of supervision, the role of monitoring. Because the other day I was looking at a child, she was aged 9, going to school there in Kaliro, comes to visit me and wanted to stay for Christmas. So I asked the mother, what language does she speak? Says speaks only one language, Lulamoji. I doubt some of you have ever heard that in Uganda, who speak Lulamoji. So I told the mother, but she's now left Kaliro, she's in Kampala. Nobody here speaks Lulamoji. How are we going to communicate with her? Because most of my assistants and whatever come from all sorts of parts of Uganda. So anyway, I start working with this girl. And at least we have got to understand a few things, like when I say bring me a plate, 1 plate, 2 plates, at least she should be able to count from 1 to 10. So after a day of tutoring, following day, I'm like, okay, now we are going to count from 1 to 10. Then she starts, Moizan, and I'm like, oh my God, Moizan language means 1. Like, this is Kampala. You are 9 years old. You are still moisening. So, and unfortunately, when I got angry and whatever, and I was talking to one of my aunties who is from Bujiri, she said, but all the children are like that. You wait when I bring mine. Now, if we are aspiring to have engineers, but then the young girls we have cannot count in the language of instruction, for me that is my worry. But so back to government. Government, your work is not yet done. Then 2, what can government do given the resources they have? When you put a policy in place as government, make sure 1, everybody in government understands it and does not flout it. Then 2, make sure it is implemented, because in some cases we have policies which we don't even know about. So for us who are in advocacy, when you go to advocate for this and the other, somebody says, oh, there is already a policy paper in place, and you are like, so who is supposed to be implementing it? Like yesterday we were talking about carbon credits, and I was told that Minister Cheptoris, the one in charge of environment, is supposed to put together a system whereby you and I can sell our carbon credits. Even those of us who went to school and did some sciences don't understand what carbon credits look like, or what you sell and how you sell it. Now this 70% of young people who are below 40 are the ones who are in charge of our carbon and our carbon credits. If they cannot even count 1 to 10, which they see, I mean, they say, go to count how many kids it has, how are they going to count our carbon? So when some of us get worried, and specifically get worried about girls, is that in a number of cases it is the girls who will decide how Uganda will move. So while I was talking about the men marrying the girls and whatever, who is holding the steering of Uganda? It is the girls. We are the ones who cook. We are the ones who decide what you eat, how you eat it, when you eat it. So for as long as the government of Uganda does not prioritize that driver on the steering, we are in real trouble.
We're in the real trouble. I pray that God really intervenes and also government take a part. And now that I have voice from government, Deputy IGG Dr. Patricia, you're going to help us to highlight some of the special programs or projects. We are looking at the interventions that are targeting women, at specific women economic empowerment in this country.
Thank you very much. I would like to pick from where Honorable Sechitoleko has stopped, and also to tap from what Engineer Annette talked about earlier on. I think it's important for us to be purposeful and intentional towards causing this positive change we are talking about, and focus at economic empowerment of women. But picking from where Honorable Sechitoleko has stopped, I think it's important for government to prioritize this intention to change women and change the mindset. And I would like to pick from the point she talked about of mentorship. Mentorship plays a very significant role, especially if we are to bring up women with integrity through mentorship and coaching, because it can have an impact, especially on their personal and professional development. And it can be by setting examples. Are we women leaders exemplary? Mentors and coaches serve as role models for women, demonstrating their integrity in action, in decision making, even in their interactions. Like now in such a conversation, if we have our women folks listening, by observing and learning from mentors who embody values such as honesty, ethics, accountability, women can internalize these traits and incorporate them in their own behavior, and it can help them actually achieve more in this economic empowerment we are talking about. Then if we can provide guidance and support, we have talked about laws, policies, regulations, but if we can, through mentorship and coaching, offer a supportive environment for women to be able to navigate the challenges and these dilemmas, then they will be able to make difficult decisions and uphold their values even in challenging environment or situations. Because I have seen over times that mentors and coaches can offer guidance and advice and even feedback to help women stay true to their principles and uphold integrity in all aspects of their lives. This country is going down the drain because of lack of integrity and degeneration of values. The cases we handle in the inspectorate of government is to do with degeneration of values. So I think we need to look more into the direction of building confidence and self-esteem in women, especially through this mentorship and coaching, because women can develop the confidence and self-esteem needed to stand firm in their principles and values. Someone who has confidence and self-esteem cannot throw away math and say this is for men. Someone cannot abandon the engineering subjects. Okay, personally, I'm not an engineer, I'm a lawyer by profession, and I would encourage young girls out there to also become more of lawyers than even engineers, because for me that is not my direction. But I think that is being selfish. But by receiving encouragement, validation and support from mentors and coaches, women can feel empowered to act, one, with integrity, two, to have the conviction and even face adversity and stand up with their heads high. So we need to foster that critical thinking and even the reasoning which can be brought in through this mentoring and coaching which can engage women in discussions, in reflections, and even exercises that promotes this critical thinking we are talking about. So thinking about the principles, about the values, about the standards, women can gain even deeper understanding of what integrity entails, and also develop skills to make these critical principled decisions in complex situations. And then, Amon, I think we need to encourage accountability and responsibility. If your man or husband has stolen some money from somewhere and bought for you an iPhone, you should be able to question and say, Mwami, where did you get this kind of money from? These are very expensive phones. And through mentorship and coaching, women can learn the significance of accountability and responsibility, even for their actions and decisions. Women were making noise out there that a sente yechimeza. You can put a man in a corner and make him go to steal. If you are contented and you can contribute and work and contribute to the welfare of your family through small businesses here and there, I think you can make a significant impact. Mentors and coaches can help women recognize the impact of their choices on themselves, and even encouraging them to act with integrity and take ownership of their behavior. So in the overall, I think what Honorable Sechitoleko talked about is very important, because when we coach them, we provide valuable opportunities for women to cultivate the integrity, for women to present ethical leadership and value-driven decision making. And by nurturing the women with integrity through mentorship and coaching, we can help create a generation of empowered, of principled, and even ethical female leaders that contribute to a just and fair society in the country. Going back to the Inspectorate of Government, the Inspectorate of Government, first of all, is the lead anti-corruption agency we have today, and I have been challenged by Honorable Sechitoleko about the big fish. The citizens out there need to to see us to catch the big fish. The big fish, like you have said, corruption is very intricate and people hide evidence. When it comes to women's empowerment in the fight against corruption, I think the Inspectorate of Government can bring women on board. First of all, we can come up with gender-sensitive policies and practices, and we can develop and implement gender-sensitive policies and practices to address corruption through the gender lens, the role of the woman in the fight against corruption. And this includes ensuring that women have access to reporting mechanisms, to protection from retaliation, because in most cases when people report cases of corruption, there is retaliation. Someone can be thrown on katebe, someone can be pushed off the job, and so on. So we need to give opportunities to enable women to participate in anti-corruption efforts, and we can do this by organizing capacity building programs. And I believe going forward, this will include workshops on anti-corruption laws, investigative techniques specifically for women, and whistleblowing mechanisms. We can also encourage them to participate, and specifically the Inspectorate has actively engaged women's organizations, the civil society groups, and even grassroots initiatives like the community monitoring groups I was talking about, by including women in decision-making processes, encouraging them to participate. I believe as the Inspectorate of Government, we are able to leverage diverse perspectives and strategies in the fight against corruption. Then finally, I will talk about the culture of integrity. The Inspectorate of Government has been working to promote that culture of integrity and ethics that values transparency and accountability among women and men alike, by instilling these values within society. And I have a special program here in UBC called Your Space, where we are talking about values. We are unpacking the values and looking at the implications of those values in the war against corruption. So by actively involving women in anti-corruption initiatives and promoting their empowerment, as an Inspectorate of Government, we can contribute to a more inclusive and effective approach to combating corruption, because empowering women in the fight against corruption not only strengthens governance structures, but also fosters a more equitable and just society for all. Thank you very much, Amon, and listeners.
Thank you, Dr. Patricia, Deputy IGG, and Dear listener, you can be part of the program on 0776-511-426. I've opened my line. You can now call as I'm reading these messages coming from the other side, from the listener from the other side of radio. Umal is listening in from Jinja. He says the government has done really good for women empowerment in this generation. I expected these ladies to have started recommending the government for the effort. It is not something that was there in the previous regimes. And Asima Ebola Ajongela, something, I think. So David Msasizi, you're listening in from Kololo, says women empowerment doesn't mean disrespecting men or husbands. We need to use these rights accordingly and utilize them, not to fight the other gender, but to move together as a country. John Jones Mgelwa says the contribution of women is important, especially like Honorable Secretary said, that they do everything in the whole this country, and if we invest so much in them, they can help Uganda to achieve and realize the middle income status by 2040 as we planned. Batha is listening in from Gulu, says everything is in place. It is an individual effort to utilize these opportunities and platforms that have been put by NGOs, by government, and many other stakeholders. Even you ladies, to be in those positions, you must have allocated yourselves and positioned yourselves to make sure that you tap into those opportunities. If women and girls don't act, there is no one that will push you. The government has really done enough for us. It is high time we rise as women and hold our flags. Okum Brian Jacobs says, thank you, Honorable Secretary and the ladies in the studio. I agree with the IGG. Indeed, women need to participate in fighting corruption, because even men steal this money to be given to the women. I have opened my line 0776-5111-426. You can reach and be part of the program. Keep your messages coming through. I'll be reading one by one. Someone says you didn't put the name, but you said work balance is already there. Policies that have been put in place are affordable. Women have 3 months maternity leave, but men have only 1 day. This is not acceptable in society, and it is time now to embark on male emancipation, because women emancipation has taken its shape already. Live and clear on UBC. You're live and clear. UBC. Call again on 776-511-426 and you'll be part of the program. UBC?
Yes, hello.
You're live and clear.
I'm called Moses Seroku.
From where?
From Muyenga.
All right.
I thank the discussion. It's so exciting that I support the.
We have lost Moses from Yenga. If you can call again on 0776-511-426. UBC.
Good morning.
A very good morning to you. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Salma, I'm in Palisa.
Your name again?
This is Salome.
Salome from Palisa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm a sort of woman fighting for corruption. I don't see where the ladies from downtown, like from Palisa and from the village where I am, can come up to Kampala to fight for corruption. The honorables who are inside there, they're the ones who are supposed to fight for corruption. For other, it's like to represent other ladies who are down. Talking of the empowering girl child and boy child. Okay, I may say that I am a girl child and I can go to school and my parents can't afford to pay my school fees. And from there, I stopped, let me say, from P7 over senior series something. And I have the ability and power, at least let me join another course. But still, I don't have money. How can they help a girl child to avoid teenage pregnancy among girls? Talking of empowering the women. Okay, one about talk of PDM. There is the government issuing PDM to the ladies, but how can they help a lady whose husband can't allow her to do any business at the moment, and to not allow her to spend almost 24 hours when she is not at home? How can they help such a lady?
All right.
Thank you.
Welcome and welcome to People Palisa. 98.0 FM UBC Radio. We are also live and clear on Butebo Radio in Eastern Uganda. We are also live and clear on West Nile Radio in West Nile or Arua. We are also live and clear on Magic 100 FM, and this is UBC Ground Zero. Mpaida Manutega is my name. I have point and guests in the studios of UBC. We are talking about accelerating gender equality through women emancipation. You've heard from the people of Uganda. We'll be reading their messages as they come through. Let me start with the representative of engineers. I will cross over to you, of course, Dr. Patricia. Someone asked her how women in the rural settings can fight corruption. She thinks that maybe this was for you who are in the city and those who are close so much to the national cake. Come in, Annette.
Okay, thank you.
But does gender mean disrespecting men or husbands because they think they have been so much empowered and you have gone through the threshold, and it is high time now we start empowering also the men?
Thank you, Arwen. I don't think gender means disrespecting the other sex, the opposite sex, women disrespecting men. Personally, I've been married for 28 years. And I'm an engineer, so I don't think being an empowered woman should be a hindrance to social life. I always tell engineers when I'm dressing them that apart from the professional life, we also have another life. So that is not true. That's not the reason, but I think empowering women helps them to fight gender stereotypes and social bias.
Okay. Because
we've seen in most cases, for example, I want to talk in this lady's question of her husband not allowing her to work. I think why we need even to empower our men as well is make them understand that your wife being empowered and working and earning, and when you are earning, he should not see it as a threat. But I think because of the society has taken it to be that men provide for women, so some men, when the women are empowered, they feel threatened in their positions. But we have very many women who are, because if now we go by that, then we shall stop taking our girls to school. Let our men understand. We've seen it in developed countries where you find both men and women work. You come home, even you share the chores at home. If you are on duty, you find your husband has cooked. If the husband pays rent, you also pay school fees for the children. So let's look at it positively, that both genders should be empowered, and that doesn't mean repressing roles of the other gender, but it just means economic actual empowerment when two hands are better than one.
Thank you, Annette. Live and clear on UBC?
Hello, UBC.
Yeah, live and clear.
Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Moderator.
All right.
And I'm calling from Tinda.
All right.
Yes, I want to thank Dr. Sechtoriko.
Well, Kidia, Tony can call us again. Maybe network was not that clear, and you can reach us again on 776-511-426. As I read some messages coming from the some listener. Ben is saying letting women to work is okay, but where does their money go? They don't pay school fees. If they don't, I pay rent, even take her to the saloon, and even buy her some airtime. I'm wondering what they use that money for, and what is their contribution. If the woman does not work, contribute to anything, then her work is null and void. Emily, where does your money go?
I think it depends on the setting of the home and the kind of planning that the two people that head the household.
If you can allow me, I'll give you that time.
Sure.
Okay, yes, come back. You're live and clear?
Yes, UBC.
You're live and clear.
I'm speaking to Abimazini. I'm calling from Mukono.
Your name again?
Abimazini.
All right.
Please, allowing women to work in one way or the other is okay. But as I'm talking out of experience, and maybe I'm a victim of circumstance. I work at the same time my wife works. Okay, I get more than what she earns, but the little she earns, I don't even know to know how it is working. This is a lady, after getting money, is not even going to buy even a mere salt, but is going to ask money for salt, everything. Again, is going to tell me, I want to blow my hair. And I'm the one paying school fees, I'm doing everything. So, is that one still useful for her to continue working, or let her better just help homework, then I do everything? Because to me now it looks like it's quite useless, because I'm buying for you clothes, I'm doing everything on top of what you are earning. So please, we say, okay, it is okay, we need the work, but let's be fair. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and greetings to the people of Mukono. I have heard from the people of Uganda who are part of us from the other side of radio, and I'm glad men are participating in this program. This indeed is accelerating gender equality. Yes, Emily, you come in now. Oh, first to get this one, you address them at the same time. UBC?
Yes, once again, I'm Moses.
Yes.
From Muyanga. I think it was a airtime problem, but I'm back on. I think I'm live on UBC.
All right, you're live.
I support the motion saying the government has to at least add the effort. It's not enough on the girl child. Right now, as I talk, I'm a man of 36 years. I grew up as we are 7 and 3 girls. One is only engineer, and the rest are nurses, as my sister I speak right now. But she's able to beat us in everything, taking care responsibility of our parents. Imagine with the 7 boys. One, I just say is that the girl child is a key, I've understood today, to success in their own communities and their families. The government has done part of it, but now we still, as the government, demand more to help a girl child. Because the children, like, let's take example in the government schools. The girl child is not helped enough. Like, if the government would also take the action in helping children through, like, tourism, like, they would learn much enough. Like, tourism is a key. The girl child also, because they are cooperative in the village there, you find they do. Like athletics, what you find they do, most of the things they cope than even boys, but because the access is little. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Moses. And let's start from there.
Yeah, well, I was saying that the complaint about women not being able to women despising their husbands when they
And
have.
someone just testified that is a victim of circumstance.
Yeah.
The woman is also working but can't buy just salt of 500.
I heard that, and sometimes it's a perception, sometimes it's something that somebody has conceived in the mind. But he seems to be a practical case, and there are few isolated cases like that. Some of the causes of domestic violence are actually related to sharing of resources within the household and the level of empowerment by a woman. Sometimes men fear when women have money, they feel insecure, and actually when they are talking to their wives, they're suspicious of what they're thinking of them. So I think it's a mindset issue that needs to be addressed. But also I want to emphasize the fact that families should not be run like a project. Let's take the family back to where it belongs. Let's take our responsibilities as stipulated as in the Bible, and also let heads of households men take the responsibilities seriously. Having is not a crime, and not having money is also not a crime. So let the two people sit together and plan for their family, and also that goes back to the bit of what people are saying, that the boy child should be empowered as well. And I accept that. We have concentrated so much on empowerment of a girl child, and which we plan to continue. But now we are saying, can we try to balance and also bring the boy child on board? Problem is, we now say in a family, and then we concentrate on the girl child and we ignore the boys. We say, the boys they'll have their way, they're men, and then we end up having a family of 5 with 4 boys or 2 boys who are drug addicts, and then this other one who is the borrower in the family. When the girl is an engineer, then everything is going to be on her. So let's continue on balancing mentorship for children, and also let's continue taking our family values seriously. We have also had complaint of women. There was a time women of a part said we would rather have dogs for husbands than husbands who don't provide, because men, especially in the rural area, are now getting up very early in the morning and reporting to trading centers to drink, and the women are the ones holding halls. So when we're talking of this economic empowerment, we're talking of economic empowerment at all levels. And even now the PDM, there are men who are sending the women to go and get the money, and then they remove it, go and either marry another wife. Those are, I think, PDM money can buy about 10 goats. It can buy 2 cows. Yeah, so let each of us take our responsibilities seriously. But I feel bad for women who are also going extreme. When we do our capacity building, especially in leadership, we tell women, being a woman member of parliament or being a district chairperson, women council, does not make you a special species of women. Continue doing your role as a mother, as a sister, and as a woman in the community. Don't hype it. There have been misinterpretation about gender equality. That people think when we talk about gender equality, we're talking of a woman. And then we're also talking about a woman being more powerful than a man. That's not the case. So we need to understand the concept.
UBC Ground Zero takes a very short break. I'm coming back in just a bit, and keep your messages coming through. After the break, I'll be reading them, and where ourselves as a country in terms of legal and normative frameworks for gender equality and women economic empowerment, and what needs to be done. Keep your messages coming through. I'll be coming back in just a bit. I pray don't go away.
Ground Zero Season 2. Stay tuned. We shall be right back.
Do you know the Bible from cover to cover? From Genesis to Revelations? What of studying it systematically? A great opportunity is here, starting 3rd July 2023. Living Waters Ministry Uganda and Champions Evangelistic Ministries International brings you Through the Bible radio program, teaching the entire Word of God. Join us every Monday to Friday, 12:30 to 1 p.m. as we bring you an in-depth teaching of the whole Word of God, only on UBC.
And thank you, our dear listener, for being part of us from the time we started this program up to this time. We have a privilege and honor to have Dr. Patricia Chano-Kiria is the Deputy Inspector General of Government, and we also have Engineer Simire Anet is the Presidential Candidate to Uganda Institution of Professional Engineers, and we also have a privilege and honor to have Honorable Victoria Sektoriko is the former Minister of Agriculture, and we also have Deputy Executive Secretary coming from National Women Council, and that is Emily Kulu. And we're talking about accelerating gender equality through women economic empowerment. And after the from the break, we start with Honorable Secretary address the put your question: how far, how can we wear ourselves in terms of legal and normative frameworks for gender equality and women economic empowerment in this country?
Okay. With government in place, I don't think I'm going to attempt to answer that. What I'm going to do is actually summarize for everybody what are we talking about. Today, we are talking about the power of the wallet. If you are a young woman, you are a young girl, and you have just tuned in, and anybody asks, what was UBC talking about today? Just tell them the power of the wallet. So, in this case, we are talking about the power of the wallet of a young girl. And Mr. Butego here is asking, is the legal system in place to empower this girl to have the power of the wallet? My general answer, not coming from government, would be yes. But before I say yes, this young girl whose wallet I'm talking about should be aware of the system she's working in. Just during the break, we are talking about information which is everywhere but nowhere. Most of these girls, especially coming from rural schools, we are finished. They just don't have access to any of this information. In fact, whenever I'm talking to these UPE schools during their career days, which are very rare, I wonder how on earth those schools manage to. The other day I met somebody who came from Busiro Senior Secondary School in I think it is in Luka, and he was an engineer and he was on government sponsorship. And I asked him, since I knew the father very well, are you sure you didn't cheat? You really was very clever and you made it all the way to university? And the answer was a firm yes. But that is a rare occurrence. The power of the wallet has to be given to everybody in every household. My colleague earlier was talking about domestic violence. Certainly this business of money and the men being suspicious, you tell him I get 300,000 and he thinks you are telling lies. You tell him I have not yet been paid and he's suspicious that you have been paid but you don't want to contribute, and so on and so forth. But on a lighter note, when men have money, we know how they use or misuse the money. So it is your job, young lady, to make sure that you know where each and every one of his shillings is going. It is advisable to share where yours is going. But in church, when I'm there, I hear you swearing, everything that I have, everything that I own, I give you. And we women are taking it serious.
Empowerment as a key strategy for greater gender equality. Because while we see remarkable progress registered in the area of women's economic empowerment, the statistics indicate that women still continue to face challenges in an attempt to achieve equal participation, especially in the money economy, the power of the wallet, which Honorable Sechitoleko has just talked about. Women and girls should have access to productive resources, education, employment pathways, technology, financial services, and others. But when you look at the national theme, the national celebrations highlights the progress women and girls have made in reducing poverty, pursuing their economic empowerment, and also contributing to national development. In terms of the legal and normative framework, you find that the government has been consistent in its pursuit for gender equality and empowerment of women. Over the years, government has taken significant steps in promoting gender equality and women's empowerment, even in the national development planning. We as Uganda are signatory to several international and regional instruments on gender equality and women's empowerment, including the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development with its attendant Sustainable Development Goals. We have got the Gender Equality and Development of Women, SDG 5, the Convention of Elimination of All Discrimination Against Women, and other protocols like the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, on the rights of women in Africa, which is also referred to as the Maputo Protocol, the Gender Policy of Intergovernmental Authority on Development, that is the IGAD on women, the East African Community Treaty and its gender policy, and the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa on gender policy. And then back home, we have the legislative provisions that prioritize gender equality and empowerment of women and girls, as well as also articulating the constitutional provisions on women. So I think we have got sufficient legal and policy framework in place, and the provisions basically of these different policies and laws are firm commitment of Uganda's government to the women's issues. And in Article 32 on affirmative action for marginalized groups, Article 33 of the Constitution on women's rights, Article 180 on local government, and so on. I'll go back to the significant question you asked. The caller had asked how women in the rural areas can participate in the fight against corruption. Notwithstanding the fact that we have got all these laws, the National Women's Council Act, the Public Finance Management Act, and others, the Employment Act of 2006, especially Section 7.4, which basically talks about how more women are required to be employed in those places, and so on. Women can play a very significant role, especially in fighting corruption, even in the rural settings. Like someone said, me, I'm in the rural rural setting? What can I do? How can I contribute? It is about being intentional, like we talked about. Women in rural areas can educate themselves and others about the negative impact of corruption, because one, they are the victims of corruption. If they go to the health center and they find the drugs are stolen away, they remain the victims. So they need to know the negative impact of corruption on their communities and empower them to take a stand against corrupt practices and report. They can report these cases by organizing grassroots movements, advocacy campaigns, and community discussions. Women can help raise awareness and demand for transparency, and even hold the government officials accountable in their different spaces. On promoting governance, women can participate in even local governance structures like the village council, community boards. Women can push for greater transparency, integrity, and ethical behavior among public officials. Like I told you earlier, women are part of the community monitoring groups. Women can build partnerships and collaborate with like-minded organizations, civil society groups, and government agencies to amplify the women's voice and their efforts in the fight against corruption. This is by forging partnerships and alliances. Women in rural areas can leverage collective strength and resources to combat corruption more effectively. So I don't think they should sit back and say, well, for us in the rural setting, we can't do much. There is a lot that can be done from the rural setting in contributing to the war against corruption. We need to encourage ethical consumer behavior that can also combat corruption. Women can support local businesses and initiatives that operate within the rural settings by actively engaging in anti-corruption efforts. Women in rural settings can contribute significantly, first of all, to creating a more transparent, accountable, and even equitable societies from their traditional local settings. So empowering women to fight corruption not only benefits their communities, but it also promotes gender equality, like we've been talking about. It also promotes good governance and also sustainable development. So when we equip women through friend-to-friend support and mentorship, like I said earlier on, then they can support each other, especially in creating a situation which is comfortable and conducive for economic development. And women empowerment, by the way, does not mean disrespect for men. I'm on me here. I have a doctorate in law. I am deputy IGG. I have other positions. I sit in the Women's Mothers Union group. I am a vice president for Uganda Christian Lawyers Fraternity. But when I go home, I leave those titles at the gate. Home, I am a mother, submissive, I'm a wife, I am somebody's spouse, and I do my motherly instincts and responsibilities while home. So it is very, very important for women to embrace that. As we move towards the International Women's Day celebration, we should embrace our responsibility and also respect our spouses and produce or create a conducive environment in our homes, not an environment where we are fighting for rights left, right, and center, because this life is not all about rights. It's about enjoying life and taking every challenge as an opportunity to get better, and life is about challenges. So women out there, wake up, let's face the challenge, let's find solutions, let's create the change by building confidence to be the change we want to see in our societies. Thank you very much.
That's interesting. Engineer Annette, how best can we promote women access promote women's access to appropriate technologies that they can use these digital solutions to improve production and also value addition, as the president has been calling all Ugandans to embrace?
Thank you so much, Amon, and our listeners. I'm glad that you're asking a question in relation to technology.
Say technology is the way to go.
Yeah,
and if women don't embrace technology, perhaps we may not make a step as we wish to.
Yeah, as we know that women are we are the mothers of the nation. We are the producers, the manufacturers in most cases. When you go to rural women, it is to rural areas, it's mostly women actually who dig. It's the women who even milk cows. It's the women who do the farming in the household. So government should come up with policies or that empower the women to be able to benefit from the technology, because today we know that if our women are not economically empowered, definitely this technology doesn't come cheap way. It's not for free. So we must be intentional. The other day, I will give you an example. I was doing a research, I was doing a project in the Rwamwanja refugee settlement in Kamwenge districts. It's a rural place where my technology was about clean energy, but I will not go into details. But what I want to say about women, I was asking households what kind of technology they use for heating and lighting, and mostly they tell you we use charcoal, we use firewood. Now when you look at those sources, we are running short of the forest cover. So women need to be empowered to tap into other modern ways of cooking. Actually, most of them even use the 3-stone fire, which 3-stone is not energy efficient and wastes a lot of energy. Yet there are these modern ones which can be cheap, but they are inbuilt where you find you don't waste a lot of energy. Energy is conserved and used. Those are the technologies that at least start with. The rural women should be empowered to use such. Also, we are talking of making like briquettes to replace charcoal and to replace firewood. These briquettes can be made from waste, like from gardens, vegetation, and from other many sources. So we need actually to empower the women to use the technology, because otherwise, if we don't empower the women to use the technology, then we are doing away with the forest cover, which is a disadvantage to us as a country, and we know we can't do without food. So people must eat. Therefore, empower them. Because when you look at it, it's mostly women and girls who go looking for firewood. That also in its aspect, it denies them the opportunity for economic growth. Because when you are in the forest looking for firewood for a whole day almost, when will you do business? When will you be productive? When will the girl child go to school to compete with the boys? Though we are talking of empowering both, but you find in rural areas, some areas actually, women and girls are still at a higher disadvantage than the boy child. Then also the technology, like we are talking of telephones, we all communicate. And one thing I've seen that in government projects, I want to say that the projects are not doing very well because of information flow. This information flow can reach a rural woman using the telecommunication gadgets. Almost in all our villages we have masts, but you find
and
some
they all have phones to access this information.
Some people don't have the phones, some do have. But can we find a way? I remember when we were in COVID, when the government was talking of buying radios for every homestead to listen for children to learn. Can we do the same, buy radios and always share information so that women even know? Because I've heard someone say
that you are saying that the government should buy phones to every Ugandan.
No, empower them economically so that they can use technology. That's what I said, that women need to be empowered so that they stop doing these jobs which don't promote economic empowerment and do business, get involved in business. But also to start with, we can have maybe resource centers. That's one point I started with, like in our schools. Every sub-county could have a resource center with low technology, but with also some moderate technology like computers. People would go there, even the children who are being wasted in the village, going to play games or going to drugs, would go to that resource center if every sub-county had, and be able to learn a skill.
Interesting.
Yes.
Thank you. We're talking about poverty levels in the country, which is a big concern to the national sustainable development. We're talking about 3.5 million persons living below the food poverty line. We're talking about a country with a high population. Most of them are youth. We're talking about a country where we have high rates of unemployment and necessitating urgent interventions on wealth creation. We're talking about high poverty as rates as I talked about, some people lacking radios and phones, as Annette put it right. How are you, as we give the way forward, how can women escape this and be able to economically be empowered? We're now giving way forward. Emily? Before we lament and talk about unemployment, there is no, if the situation remains the way it is now, how should women escape the situation?
First of all, I want to say that on the government side, so much has been done, and also it's a responsibility of all of us to participate in programs that government is bringing forward, and also ensure that what we do is in line with the NDP 3 as government. First of all, government has a joint program on women entrepreneurship project for women, youth, and youth livelihood, and it's been going on, and it's been helping to empower women and youth economically. There is also a social assistance grant for empowerment, which is also helping women that belong in this group, the SEARCH, the elderly people. Then we have the Juakali program. I want to mention this so that when we talk of way forward, it's also known that government has been doing something. And then the Ministry of Gender is currently implementing the GROW project, but should be able to really give money in the hands of women who are graduating from low enterprises to at least medium size. Then we have the presidential initiative project on skilling underprivileged girls that's ongoing, and I really encourage members of the community to take this up as something that's worth. Then we have the parish development program and other programs.
Okay.
In terms of way forward, we should continue and really stay on the track to continue promoting gender responsible local production and use of locally manufactured goods. There's also need to continue promoting gender responsive public procurement, including the operationalization of the reservation for women, youth, and persons with disability in the 60% of the budget, which is spent on the public procurement. Then there is need to create supportive environment for women and men in SME development, including establishment of enabling infrastructure and facilities for women enterprises, for women enterprise growth, production, and transition. Then there is need to promote decent work and production employment for all women and men, including investment in appropriate technology, like engineer just mentioned, to reduce the burden of unpaid care work. There is need for mainstreaming gender-based violence prevention and response in legislation, policies, programs, and strategic plans.
Okay.
Program budget framework papers that mainstream policy statements on MDAs, local governments, and private sector organizations, including review of laws and policies with the aim of strengthening GBV prevention, because if a woman is disturbed, they can't be able to properly participate in economically related projects. Then to promote positive social norms generally, values and practices.
Your last comment?
And transformation of negative norms.
Yeah, but your closing remark?
I wanted to use this opportunity to, generally, I think that it's a responsibility of all of us, of women and men, and governments, civil society organizations, to really make sure that what needs to be for women is for women, and in a balanced way. I wanted to use the opportunity to communicate the International Women's Day program, which is going to be in Katakwi. I was actually a bit disappointed because I hoped to use this as an information session.
If you can use 1 second, my time is out.
Thank you. The International Women's Day will be in Katakwi district this year, and that is Friday the 8th March, and it is going to run under the theme counting in. That's the international theme, accelerating gender equality through economic empowerment.
I don't have that time.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. That
give us time later to
all right. Annette, if you can give me your closing remark in just 1 minute.
Okay. Thanks so much. My closing remark is I want to appreciate what government has so far done to empower the women, but also to implore government to do more, to take career guidance and mentorship to our rural UPE schools so that girls start understanding and making right choices at a young level before they become women, because sometimes it is too late when you are being told to do this when you never thought of it when you are a young girl. But also career guidance is needed in even parents, because sometimes it is us the parents who retard our children, imposing our own decisions and career choices on them and making decisions on their behalf. But sometimes we make wrong decisions because we don't have we are not informed.
Okay.
But I also want to say that as government and all of us women who are empowered and men who are empowered, let's make conscious efforts to support women empowerment, because we know that when you empower a woman, you empower a nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Patricia. We have uneven gender divisions of labor, which has resulted in a heavier burden of care and production of work at family level for women and girls, which undermines their enjoyment of access to education, participation in money economy, and power and perhaps decision making. We also have a challenge of insecurity. Conflicts and wrangles over land remains a challenge in increasing cases of land disputes and evictions, which mostly affect women and other marginalized groups. And as you give us your parting shots, I would love also to help that lady who is having conflicts or land wrangles, because we cannot advise women to involve them in production when they don't have where to cultivate from. But also in your parting shots, we have high levels of corruption that affect effective and efficient and implementation of various government interventions for promotion of gender equality and perhaps women economic empowerment. Your parting shots, Deputy Gigi.
In the interest of time, I would like us to note that government of Uganda considers gender equality and women's empowerment as very crucial for the attainment of the accelerated socioeconomic transformation in this country. And we should note also that government maintains peace and stability over the 3 decades and is on course to become an upper middle income country by 2040. So we need to pick interest on what the government has so far done. The country has made remarkable advancements towards the attainment of gender parity and narrowed gender gaps in economic participation and opportunity, education attainment, health and survival, and also political empowerment spheres. And like Annette noted, I think more needs to be done. So I encourage listeners to support these gender initiatives. And on someone who talked about the challenges in land, it is very important as women to also have registrable interests in land. Register your interests and have property in your own names. Property you have contributed to, or property which you have acquired, or property which is part of marital property. Since you are also contributing, have your interest registered, and you'll be able to use it. And also when it comes to succession, I know there are challenges when it comes to issues to do with succession laws, but I think we need to build confidence in the women out there so that they can be able to demand for their rights from an informed perspective, demand for accountability from an informed perspective. And in respect to the war against corruption, I encourage listeners to be vigilant, because you are a citizen in this country, and this country belongs to all of us. So let us be patriotic. Let us contribute the war against corruption by being soldiers in the war. Before us is corruption. We need to scope that enemy, and we need to approach it tactfully and get rid of it by joining hands in the war against corruption through reporting, through detecting, through hating and shunning corruption. Thank you very much. These are my parting shots. Have a blessed and fruitful day ahead.
The 8th March, which is the birthday I call for women.
Yes.
Use 1 minute, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just wanted to communicate, because I know the whole country is listening to this, but on the ground in Katakwi we will have a number of programs, but there are also programs targeting